I was going to keep my recent past close to my chest for a little while, but I don't know. Earl just made me feel comfortable enough to share. I've always felt that I've been a good.
Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about the new show on Bravo. It is Bravo's Love Hotel. So let's talk about Season 1, Episode 1. Alright, you guys, I'm going to be totally honest with y'all. I was excited for this show, okay? Because if you follow my channel, you know that I am a huge fan of the Bachelor Nation franchise. I watch The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, Bachelor in Paradise. I love all of that. And I love The Housewives. So to me, this was like joining both worlds into one. You get the Bachelor experience and The Housewives in it. So I was really excited about this. So let's get right into the first episode. So the host of the show, he calls himself the Love Concierge. His name is Joel. But I'm gonna be honest, I don't know this guy, nor do I care to know him, because when they wrapped filming this show, he was very nasty towards Shannon. He put out some things on social media that I thought were very unprofessional and just rude. So we're gonna just kind of skip over him. But anyway, yeah, so the premise of the show is the women finding love at this hotel. The show is taking place at the paradise of Los Cabos, Mexico, which I need to go back soon. It's so beautiful. Okay, so the first one that we are introduced to is Ashley Darby from the Real Housewives of Potomac. She's 36. As we all know, she was married for years to Michael Darby. They faced a bit of challenges during their marriage. They did have two amazing children. They divorced, and she's had little situationships that never really went anywhere. And at the end of this, I'm going to tell you something about Ashley, which is making me not really care for her much on this show, but we'll get to that. Then here comes Gizelle Bryant. She's 54, also from the Real Housewives of Potomac. As we all know, she was married to Jamal Bryant, who, as she called, was a cheater, pumpkin eater. And as who Monique called him, is a pastor holy horse swinging his D across the congregation, as we speak. And Gizelle did have some other serious love interests throughout her time on the show that we saw. Then here comes Luanne de Lesseps. She is 59, from the Real Housewives of New York, the original New York Housewives. I'm going to be honest, the original Housewives of New York, I didn't really watch too much. That's the only franchise that I was not really ever into it. But I do know kind of the gist of it. So Luanne was married for 14 years, and that's how she got the name Countess. Then she divorced, and then got married again to another guy for only a year. Last but not least, Shannon storms Beador, 60 years old, from the Real Housewives of Orange County. She was married for a long time to her husband, who she had her 3 daughters with. And that marriage ended, and she then had a very toxic relationship with John Jansen for 4 years that we all saw play out on the show not too long ago. So they are officially welcomed to this love journey. Luanne says that she's had to tell them at the airport that she had a vibrator. Good thing she knows a little bit of Spanish, so she knows how to say it. So in this hotel that they're staying at, it's unreal. It's the best of the best. So they go to their rooms, then a little later they've gotten dressed and they head down. And then the men are introduced. Someone made a comment saying that these men were on the older side, but I was thinking, ladies, with the exception of Ashley, y'all are in your late 50s, early 60s. Did y'all want some 30-year-olds? And even you, Ashley, you were with Michael, who was very much older than you. So the men come down and they begin introducing themselves to the women. When they come down, they begin to just talk. There's a lot of conversations being had at the same time. And I'm not going to lie, I saw some sparks with some conversations. So we're going to talk about some of those notable conversations that stood out. First of all, let me tell you about Luanne. She is just a natural flirt. She's going to flirt with any man that's in front of her. And it's funny because none of the guys really knew who any of the ladies were or what shows they came from. Matter of fact, Shannon asked this guy if he knew who Andy Cohen was, and the guy says, "Is he a broker?" She was like, "No, he's from Our network, yeah. Some of the questions that are being had with different people are like, have you been married before? Do you have kids? Things like that. So one of the sparks that I felt was between Ashley and Nicholas, who he's 45, and he's definitely Ashley's type. He looks like he could be like Michael's younger cousin or something. Ashley liked him. I saw it in her smile, and he seemed like a nice guy. He was talking about, he never thought finding love would be this difficult, but he's really looking for it. Shannon instantly was attracted physically to a man named Ralph. Gizelle talked to a man named Jay. He's 46, marketing director. He was married. He has 2 boys, so she talks about her 3 daughters and how she's an empty nester now. This was funny. Luanne was talking to 2 men, and they're talking, having a conversation, getting to know each other. She then says, I'll be right back. I'm going to the bathroom. I'll be right back. But the guys then take a look, and she's not in the bathroom. She's talking to some other guys, classic Luanne, and they were like, yeah, she's not coming back. Ashley also connected to this guy named Wale. He is 38, so they're closer in age compared to the other people. They talk about his previous relationship, and Ashley really liked the fact that he was talking about therapy and being aware of his mental health and things like that. Gizelle also kicked it off with Ralph. Shannon talks to a guy named Earl. Earl is like the funny guy. He had some cool gator shoes with eyes. He's kind of like a jokester, kind of just fun vibes. So Shannon is asking him about his previous marriage. And unfortunately, he said that his wife had leukemia. She had cancer. She was then cancer free. They had like the best 4 years of their lives. It was a blast. But after those 4 years, the illness came back and she died. And man, I felt so bad because he had his person. He was in love with his wife, but she died. So he wants to have love again because he's had it before. Like, he's been successful in it. So he knows that he can have it. And I really got emotional listening to him talk about this. She passed about 5 years ago, and Shannon says, I'm really sorry about that. Shannon also reveals that she thinks that she's never truly been in love. And that's really interesting when people are older and they've been married and they've had kids, to come to the realization that maybe you've never been in love. It's kind of sad. Gizelle also talked to Wale, and I could tell Gizelle was into him. Gizelle liked the young guys, okay? But when he said that he wanted kids, Gizelle knew in the moment that she wasn't going to be compatible with him because she can't have kids. Literally. She has no uterus. They removed it. So then the ladies reconvene. They talk about who they've liked so far because they were going to have to pick someone to ask on a date the next morning. Earl was so nice. He even brought a drink to Shannon. So I think Shannon likes him. Luanne likes Gerry. Gizelle says that she wants Wale for Ashley since he wants kids. I can tell Gizelle, again, if it had not been for that, I'm telling you how she would have liked him. But that was definitely a big obstacle. Gizelle then says that she's going to sleep. That's one thing about Gizelle. She's a grandma. She's going to sleep early, and I don't blame her. Wale and Ashley stayed back, and they talked for a while in the hotel lobby. So it's now the next morning. Of course, Ashley's working out. Of course, Ashley's on the pool. Giselle's on the pool, I mean. So Gizelle decides that she's going to ask out Jay on a date. Ashley asked Wale on a date. Shannon asked Earl out. And Luanne asks out Gerry. So Gizelle and Jay go on their date. So they go to a tequila tasting and a taco tasting. Now, the guy making the tacos said that the taco was worth $25,000 for just one. What? They were putting lobster and Japanese meat and caviar. I don't need all that in my taco, okay? Give me a fajita taco with onion, cilantro, and salsa. That's all I need. And they're like $1, okay? So he's at, the guy's then asking Gizelle, what does she need in a man? And Gizelle says, transparency, accountability, and sexual proficiency. Jay, he's a nice guy, very respectful. I can tell he's got his stuff together. He's older. But Gizelle thinks that he's boring. According to her, he's not turning the juices on. Then we see Luanne and Gerry. They were by the beach, very nice background. They had champagne, some very fancy oysters. He's talking about surfing, what he likes to do. He's a homebody, he likes to relax. Then they take a walk on the beach, but she too finds him a little boring. She didn't really feel chemistry. Like I said, I'm not super familiar. I know Luanne, obviously, but I don't really see if I were a man like on her age, like what do you talk about to Luanne about? Like I feel like she's a little bit too all over the place. I don't know. But my personal favorite date was Ashley's because they went to a cacao ritual drinking thing where they were also going to make their own chocolate, and I loved it because the instructor was telling them about the Mayan tradition of chocolate and cacao, and just me personally having connections to that culture of the indigenous folks. I would just love a date like that, and it's very, in a way, I feel like it's very romantic too. So like they had to like try and peel the cocoa bean without breaking it. Then they had a little tejate, and they had to break the chocolate. So I like that date for sure. And Ashley and him were definitely feeling each other. Shannon and Earl, so they had some wine and cheese, very exquisite cheese that they didn't particularly like. The flavors were a little bit too exquisite, and yeah. So Shannon tells him that she really appreciated how vulnerable he was last night talking about his wife's passing. And he says thank you because he actually thought that maybe he said it a little bit too quickly. Shannon said, no, it was fine. She then shares that, she's never really had much trouble with anything, but recently she was going through a hard time, got drunk, got behind the wheel, and hit her car into a home. And it was all over the news. And, we as Housewives fans, we know about all of that. But the interesting thing is that Shannon had planned on keeping this private for a while, but Earl made her feel safe to say it. And she said how it affected her and her kids and everything. And I think it says a lot about the other person that, like, you feel safe telling them something so, super private. Not private in the sense of, like, we didn't know about it, but private in the sense of, like, what she went through, if that makes sense. And he was very supportive. They were holding hands. So I loved Earl for Shannon. So by now, everyone then heads back to the hotel. Everyone's reconvening, even the guys that were not on the dates. So Shannon goes ahead and talks to Ralph. Because remember, she was physically into him. So they're talking about love and aging and all this stuff. Ralph then goes to talk to Gizelle. So now, poor Jay is feeling a bit sad. And so is Shannon. Shannon's like, what is he doing? Talking to her. Ashley quickly talks to Nicholas, and I can see the chemistry, like I said. Then Ashley goes to sleep, and Wale goes to walk her to her room. Now, he wanted to kiss her when he dropped her off, and Ashley wanted to be kissed, but he didn't do it. And I get it. Listen, it's not easy as a man, because you got to be the initiator, but it can be a little intimidating and a little confusing. Like, do I do it? Is it too soon? Do I read the room? So he didn't kiss her. They were both disappointed. But then a little bit, like few minutes pass, and then Ashley hears a knock on her door, and it's him. So he came back and he says, I wanted to give you a proper goodbye. Is that okay? And they actually kiss. So at least he did it. And that was the end of episode 1, you guys. Like I said, I really enjoyed it, but that's only because I'm a fan of these types of shows in general, and I do love the Housewives. So it was great to see the Housewives. Now, here's what I wanted to tell y'all. Next season, because I really do believe this show will pick up next season, I would love to see other Bravo celebrities, other housewives be on the show. We have so many great single housewives who should have some love, and I think they would be great. I think Garcelle could be good, Kenya Moore, Heather Gay, Adriana from Miami. I think there's a lot of really good possibilities. So I'm hopeful for that. But with the show moving forward, I think they're going to have to tell the women to be freaking discreet about it, because Ashley, a few days ago before the show aired, has been posting that she's been out with Josh, who she met on season 9 of the Real Housewives of Potomac, which is totally fine if that's who she's with. But like, girl, you're making it seem like your whole time on the show was kind of like fake if you had a whole man on the side. So that was a little bit of a downfall. And I think Gizelle's with another guy too. So I'm really only looking forward to Shannon, because that's the only person I'm hopeful for. In Luanne, she's kind of crazy. But you guys, that was the first episode. Again, like I said, I truly enjoyed it. So let me know if you guys watched, and if you did, what did you think of it? What did you think of the guys, the girls' connections? So yeah, you guys, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you all next time. Y'all have a great one. Bye.